Let's look at Chapter 4, Lesson 5, Extension, Introducing Perpendicular and Parallel Lines. For 1 through 5, use the figure. Write true or false and explain how you decided. You may want to try additional examples on your own. Number 1. If two lines are each parallel to a third line, then they're parallel to each other. So, go ahead and look at your chart right here. And if we have two lines that are parallel, we'll do line Q and line P. Then, and they're parallel to the third line, which is line N, then they're parallel to each other. So this is true. The lines aren't going to run into each other if they're parallel to another line. Make sure you're able to explain your thinking by either using the image or by using words. Number 2, if two lines are perpendicular to a third line, then they are perpendicular to each other. So if you look at number 2, if two lines are perpendicular to a third line, then they're going to be perpendicular to each other. And I'm going to say that we'll use lines L and M. If they're perpendicular to a third line, which is line Q, then they're perpendicular to each other. If you look at the image, you can tell that line L and line M are not going to run into each other. They're actually parallel to each other. Let's go ahead and look at number 3. If two lines are perpendicular to a third line, then they are parallel to each other. And if you look at number 2, you know that we just explained that the lines will be parallel to each other because they never meet. So again, you can see up here that they're going to never cross each other, so you know that you're right. Let's look at number 4. If two lines are parallel to a third line, then they are perpendicular to each other. So that goes with number 1. If two lines are parallel to a third line, we can draw a picture here. They're parallel to a third line, so we have one line, and then we have two lines that are parallel to it. Then they're perpendicular to each other. You can see from the illustration that they're not perpendicular to each other. The lines will never meet if they're parallel to each other.